here we have a pair of cow's eyes. So let's take a look at the external anatomy to see if there's anything we can discover. And take a look at this one. Now, from the outside, you see the obvious features of the eye, such as the cornea and the pupil, right, where light enters the eye. But the only other thing we really see is this whitish beige tissue that is covering the entire orbit. This is adipose, it's fat, and it's there to serve as a protection for the eye, which is actually a very delicate organ. Now, what I need to do is trim the fat. I've got to remove the adipose and expose the orbit of the eye, mainly so that I can show you where the muscles are attached. Because as you know, the eye has a set of muscles to allow 360-degree rotation and vision. So it's not really 360 because you can't look behind your head, but the eye can move toward your nose, toward your ear. It can look up and it can look down. The eye can also rotate a little bit. Now there are a series of 6 muscles, and they all have to attach on the outside surface of the orbit in order to provide the function that is necessary. Let's take a quick look for evidence of these muscles. And what I'm meaning is look for tissue that has a different texture. I mentioned that this beige, pale colored tissue is fat. Here we have a darker brown tissue. The texture is also different. It looks very fibrous, and this is muscle tissue. So this has to be one of those 6 muscles that controls movement of the eye. Well, if that's one, where are the rest? And which one is this one? So what I'm going to do is get my tools, and today I have a scalpel and a pair of scissors, and I'm going to trim the fat from around the orbit. So bear with me. Here we go. Okay, so here we have the orbit. It's been cleaned up. I still have some work to do here. I have removed all of the fat and extraneous tissue, and we're left with just the orbit, the eyeball, and the muscles that control eye movement. So here you can see we have 6 muscles that are arranged around the eyeball. 4 of these muscles are rectus muscles, and they connect to the eyeball at right angles. So we can easily look at this eyeball and say that that one, this one, that form a cross, see right angles to each other, are the rectus muscles. Now each one of these rectus muscles has a name depending on its location. So there's a superior on top, inferior on the bottom, lateral on the outside, medial on the inside. But we are not at this point sure which of these is which particular rectus muscle. Now there are 2 other muscles that control eye movement, and these control rotation of the eyeball, and they are called the oblique muscles, and they attach at an oblique angle. So that's not 90 degrees. See, we have an oblique angle here, and we know that because they come off at these angles, these are the obliques. One is called the superior oblique, and the other is called the inferior oblique. Now, again, we're not sure which is which at this point. And I'm going to talk you through how we figure out which oblique is which and which rectus is which. And there are a few cues we can use to help us. Primarily, or initially, let's look at the angle corners of the eye. Because the sheep's eye, we know that the corners of the eye are on the lateral and medial aspects of the eyeball. So this has to be a right or left, this has to be right or left, which means up or down or up or down. So we've narrowed it down a little bit. Okay, we now know that, or we also know that the superior oblique muscle, this one or this one, inserts near the superior rectus. Okay, let's check out these rectus muscles. If this is lateral or medial, because we know it's the sides, the corners of the eyes are lateral and medial, then this has got to be inferior or superior, the top or the bottom, inferior or superior. We know that the superior oblique inserts near the superior rectus. Okay, here is an oblique inserting near what I think is the superior rectus. If we look at the other oblique, it's inserting near one of the medial or lateral recti muscles. It's not inserting down here. It really does look like it's going up that way. The fibers all lead up there. More so than down here. So that leads me to believe that this has to be the superior oblique, which makes this the superior rectus, which makes this the inferior. And if this is the inferior oblique, that inserts on the lateral aspect of the eye, that makes this the lateral rectus and this the medial rectus. It's a bit of a brain teaser, so I hope you can sort it out, because I have a feeling that could be a question on a test for you. Okay, let's talk about right eye versus left eye. Having identified all of the muscles, how do we know if it's a left eye or a right eye? Well, the superior has to be on top, and the inferior oblique has to be on the lateral aspect of the eye. So if this is top and this is lateral, this has to be a right eye.